Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. It's your DC Spotlight for July 29th, 2026. Apologies, this is coming out on July 30th. I have been ridiculously busy. But that being said, it's an okay week. It's an extra week. It's a fifth week. It's a fifth Wednesday following Comicon. So a bit anticlimactic. Obviously, I'll talk about the con and some of the goings on. With only 5 books this week, we should have time. But I'm woefully behind on a lot of other things because of day job stuff, which I'll touch on as well. But yeah, I thought overall that I would say I really enjoyed 4 out of the 5 books. The other one, it wasn't bad, but just wasn't memorable. But we'll get to that as well. But what are your thoughts, Rocky, on the week overall?
Yeah, truthfully, I found something to enjoy in all 5 of the books this week. It's an annuals week, and so annuals it's always hit and miss, but I should, if I'm being generous, they're often a lot of fun, and the good thing about annuals is that they're often usually self-contained stories, or they're giving us stories that tease larger events or plot lines coming up. So it's always annual weeks. Annual weeks are always fun, but they're a little bit of a mystery, and I like that. And for that reason, this week I thought was actually pretty good overall. And it's nice to see Hawkgirl. It's nice to see Hawkgirl again in a book.
Yeah, fair enough. So the con, I've been gone for 2 weeks. Back home, it's Thursday as we're recording this, July 30th. I'm back home, like literally gone for 2 weeks. And I could have been gone even longer, but one of my coworkers had pity on me. He's like, "You've been on the road long enough. Come back." So he flew out yesterday, did the handoff. So for those that don't know, I work IT for a restaurant group for my day job. We've been working on getting this restaurant open. It's been 7 years in the making, not building it or whatever, but just permits and everything. And we're ready to open, but we're fighting with the city over something they told us to do, and now they don't like the way that it was done, and yet they approved us every step of the way. So it's a bit frustrating, but yeah. So left at I guess technically Saturday morning, like 3:30 a.m. Because I wanted to get my last Comic Source Weekly out before I got out the door. Drove overnight, went right to the restaurant, worked that Saturday, worked again Sunday, just half a day, and then Monday, Tuesday at the restaurant, and then Wednesday morning I had to leave my hotel quite early, and I was up super late that night as well. Just stuff that I hadn't had a chance to work on for the podcast, so I was hoping to get a good night's sleep before San Diego starts, because you don't have time to sleep at the con, as you know, Rocky. So, but yeah, I didn't get to sleep till like 3, and then I couldn't sleep in Wednesday because my first interview was at the Marriott at 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So I went over there, did that interview. It went great. I was able to go to a coffee shop right around the corner from where I parked and get that produced. That's the only content I've released so far because I haven't had time. And then after I finished that, I went over to the Todd McFarlane Toy Showcase, which was great. I'm pretty sure I could have won some toys if I wanted with the claw machine, because it was pretty easy to grab one of the big balls, because everybody that went in front of me grabbed one of the big balls, and they all won. So it was pretty easy. It was almost like they set it up where if you wanted to win something, you could. But there were also much smaller little gold balls, and if you got one of the gold balls, it was a $500 Batman McFarlane thing, like statue or whatever. And I was like, I'm not really into toys. I don't really have the space. If I'm gonna get something, I might as well go for the $500 one and sell it if I win. I didn't win, which was fine.
Yeah.
But took a bunch of pictures of that, which I'll release at some point, and then had to shoot over to the airport to pick up my Airbnb roommate, great guy named Michael from LRM Online. Then we went and checked into our Airbnb, which was not. I've stayed at a lot nicer ones and a lot closer ones, but last year LRM Online didn't get me a room, and it cost me $1,000. And in the past, the one that was great is when we were 2 blocks away, and it came with parking. So it didn't come with parking. I probably spent $300 over the weekend for parking, but I didn't have to spend $1,000 on a room. And while it was a 10 to 15 minute walk, that's not that bad considering. So went and checked in, and then went and met Dinesh and some of the guys at Lou and Mickey's, and then it just started. Preview night started. I forgot to enter the portal things. I didn't even go for any exclusives. Mostly once I got into preview night, it was just saying hi to people, as you know, Rocky. So that was a heck of a lot of fun. And then, Thursday, the interviews just started with the Terminal Press Room with Robert Kirkman and everything. But I will say this. The con, in terms of coverage inside and announcements inside, it felt a little bit light this year. And not only that, Like typically when you do a press room for Skybound, you're going to have like anywhere between 10 to 20 comic book outlets there covering it. So they split it into 2 half-hour blocks. The first half-hour block, there was 4 outlets, and the second half-hour block, there was 3. This was for Terminal. There was about maybe 8 or 10 when we did the Energon press room later, so that got a little bit more coverage. But I talked to people throughout the weekend, including at the fandom party, which is more of a celebrity party. I met the guy that plays Barry Kripke, who I interviewed. That was funny as well. Like I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he said, "If you see me at the con, be sure to say hi." And I'm thinking, there's not a snowball's chance in hell I'm going to run into you, dude. I don't really cover the film and TV stuff. Plus, you're over there doing that, and I'm over here doing the comic book thing. But sure enough, I ran into him at the fandom party. Went up and said hi. We had a great little chat. He's an awesome guy, John Rasbowie. So it was so funny. I even mentioned that to him. I was like, I didn't think there was any chance. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you saw me." Whatever. But yeah, it was a heck of a lot of fun. But there were some fun things for sure. But it felt like the announcements were a little bit light in comparison to other years. Now that might be because I did have to miss 2 of the panels. Typically, DC will not schedule interviews during the same time as their panels. That was not the case this year. The first one, it wasn't DC. It was the Terminal press room was at the same time as the Jim Lee panel, which, special guests always in the Jim Lee panel. And this time it turned out to be the Clayface, the guy starring in Clayface and the director, I think. But then during the next level panel where they announced Vixen and Jonah Hex and the Demon, that was the same time as my Christopher Cantwell interview at the DC booth. So I wasn't able to live stream or live tweet all the panels. Everybody, I apologize for that. I know a lot of you, it's the closest you get to going to San Diego, finding out the news at the same time that we do. But even the news that was announced felt a little underwhelming. And then again, like I said, at the fandom party, I was talking to other people because it's a different line for press as opposed to the regular people. So it's just a bunch of press people standing in line for like 45 minutes. The only time I stand in line at San Diego is to go to the fandom party. And yeah, we were just talking about how all of us know multiple outlets that didn't get approved this year, or they just decided not to come this year, maybe because of the expense or whatever. I don't know. But what I will say is this. There was a silver lining to it because when I did my interviews with Christopher Cantwell, the aforementioned, when I talked to Joshua Williamson and Hayden Sherman in the DC booth, like I spoke to each of them. They're almost 30-minute interviews. I got a lot of great information as opposed to normally like 5 to 10 minutes, and these guys are going on, and I'm asking questions and I'm sucked in or whatever.
So you mean there's going to be some you got some spoilers for Legion of Superheroes in your interview maybe? Or?
I wouldn't say spoilers, but I would say I have some great information when I drop it, which will be coming really soon, everybody. You're going to get a lot of good information. The love that Joshua Williamson and Hayden Sherman have for Legion is palpable. And the stuff that Cantwell has to say about his Gotham Central and the gangs of Gotham that's coming after that. Yeah. If you're a Stephanie Brown fan, you are going to be over the moon. Stephanie Brown is getting the most love she's ever gotten in the history of the character, without question. Like,
you mean with New Titans?
No, with Gangs of Gotham.
Gangs of Gotham?
Main character in Gangs of Gotham. Yeah. So
cool.
that is coming. Anarchy will be playing a big role in that. So it's really interesting. So we got the 2-issue tie-in for Gotham Central, which ties into the Bad Seeds, and then coming out of that, Christopher Cantwell is going to be writing Gangs of Gotham. It was announced on the Gotham panel. So yeah, some great stuff, because when I did get a chance to talk to people, I got a lot. I got a chance to talk to them for a long time. So that was great. The fandom party was a lot of fun. Like I said, hanging out with John Ross Bowie just a little bit, and some of my friends, I was able to get into the party. I left once the music starts, as I typically do. I can't remember his name, Joe something. Everybody that's a Green Day fan is going to be yelling at their screen. Joe, Billy Armstrong, Joey Armstrong. I don't know. Green Day frontliner. He's a guy, the lead singer for Green Day, but he was there with his band. They started singing. I left. I went to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund party. It was the first time it was open bar at the Legal Defense Fund party, which you guys are probably like, well, I don't care about that. I wasn't there. I didn't even know it was an open bar till later, but I had already had plenty to drink at the Legal Defense Fund party, so that was fine. I wouldn't have had anything anyway. Yeah. But then from there, that ended up being a really late night. Went to an after party in some really sketchy warehouse with bottle service that was nearly $1,000. I did not pay for that. but I
Wow.
bounced out of there pretty quick and just tried to go get some sleep. That was the night I hit it the hardest, was Friday night. Um, or Thursday night rather, the first night of the con. But then yeah, it just kept rolling from there. And I will say this, typically as busy as I've ever been, as usual, but maybe not as many interviews as I've ever done. But a lot of people that want to come on later. I owe so many people emails, which I'll be getting to this week. Um, but the Ignition Pavilion was a big hit, as I expected it to be. I talked to them at length multiple times. Every one of those Ignition Press creators and everybody working behind the scenes, Philip Sablik, Bree Sarpy, Steph Hokut, they're all awesome. They're amazing. They had over 27,000 people go into that pavilion, which was across the street on the other side of the railroad tracks. It didn't cost anything to get in. You didn't have to have a badge. It was amazing. John J. Pearson was painting there live. That was an amazing. That was the hit. I expected it to be the hit of the show, and it definitely was. So did that as well. So a lot of good stuff coming from that. But as I said, maybe not the most interviews, but some great content. Great to see people. I walked around with my daughter on Sunday. I try not to do interviews on Sunday. This year I couldn't get around it, but man, all it showed me was I got to tell people next year. I got to learn to say no. Like no, I like haven't. I like to just walk around on Sunday and remember why I do it. I did buy a couple of comics. I always try to do that. Some back issues. I bought an Action Comics and a Batman. That Action that I bought was the last book I needed to fill in my run from Action from 400 all the way up to present day, unbroken, not missing anything now. And then I bought a copy of Batman 400, which I used to have back in the day, but I think I sold it when I had my shop. But it was a great price. I couldn't resist. But I like to walk around on Sunday without a bag and just be able to say hi to people. I had my daughter with me. She did a couple. She went to a couple of interviews with me that I had, and that was fine. I didn't mind it. But
I'm curious. What is your daughter is 14?
14, yeah.
14. How did she? What's her favorite part of the con?
She just liked walking around, getting to meet people. Although she did get a little annoyed of people going. I'd introduce her to our creator, like Christopher Cantwell, for example. I said, it's my daughter Aspen, whatever. And he's like, your dad's awesome. They just love, the creators love me because I'm spotlighting their work. You know what I mean? I'm shouting them out. We know these comic book companies don't do much marketing or promotion, so I'm doing that job for them. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So my daughter had stayed. My sister lives in San Diego, and my daughter had stayed with her, for the past week or whatever. And then my sister and my daughter, they came to the Bad Idea party and got to meet Derek Kolstad and Matt Kinn and some other people. And it was the same thing. They're like, oh, your dad's great, whatever. And that was a lot of fun. The Bad Idea party was a blast. As usual, I drove to the Bad Idea party, so there were 5 different drinks. And I got there a little after 4:30. And then I managed to snag a drink at 5, even before it was open, because I wanted to try them all. But the first one I grabbed at 5 o'clock was the only one I drank the whole thing. All the other ones, I would go and get it from the bar, because the bars had long lines. But I would go and get it from the bar, and I'd take like 2 sips, and then I'd ask somebody, hey, do you want this? Do you want this? To give it away, because I didn't want to drink. So I probably drank like the equivalent of 2 drinks in like 7 hours, so I'd be okay to drive. Because inevitably, somebody always needs a ride, and that was the case this year as well. But again, great to see Derek Kolstad. Great to talk to the comic creators. I have an interview coming from there as well. The director of Brightburn, David Yarovesky, talked about his book coming from Bad Ideas at Demand Sacrifice, which is a heck of a lot of fun. We're going to have David on later after the first issue comes out to talk more in detail about that. But yeah, she just had. I asked her, I was like, "What was your favorite thing?" And she's like, "Walking around at the show, or she's like, not the interviews. That was fine for you, and it was interesting to watch, but walking around, meeting people at the show or the party, meeting people." She's like, "It's a toss up. Like I really enjoyed both." So she had a great time. It's not her thing. Comics are not her thing, but she just enjoyed spending time. But again, what I will say, like this year, what I came away with more than anything, just like last year, everybody appreciative of what I do and wanting to come on the show and everything, which I really appreciate. I have more people wanting to come on than I have time to devote to it. But more so than ever, I was more busy after hours this year than ever before. Like I got invited to so many parties this year, and I try to put in an appearance. I appreciate it, so I try to say yes and put in an appearance here and there. But it's a little challenging. And again, I know I kind of sound like I'm like a spoiled snob or whatever. It sucks to get invited. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. It's just like, again, I love these people. They've become friends. They've become colleagues. I really appreciate the invite. So I want to say yes and be appreciative of everything. Like getting to go to the Kickstarter party on Wednesday, which is very, very limited guest list and everything, was really, really cool. I mean, it wasn't so long ago, even though I was deep in the throes of comic journalism, say say like 2019, right? Not that long ago, because we didn't have a show in 2020 or 2021. But I remember like 2019 having nights where I didn't have any obligations, and I'd just go to the bar that all the creators hang out and just hang out there and be there for hours and hours. I wasn't getting to the Odyssey bar until like an hour left in the night because I had all these other things to do. So I say that to say I'm so privileged and I'm so blessed, and I had such a great time. And the content is coming, everybody. I apologize because again, as soon as Sunday ended, we packed up the car Sunday morning, went to the show, did the thing, went back, got in the car, had to drive back to the place where my restaurant's opening. My company's opening a restaurant like about 20 miles up the road, and check into the same hotel I'd been in, the week before, and stayed for 3 more nights, and just super busy 12-hour days. So again, I love my day job, but it was so strange to be on the road for my day job and be super busy with all that stuff, and then shift gears in my brain to being super busy with San Diego Comicon for 5 days, and then immediately shift back, not having come home in the meantime to drop off my stuff or produce any content or anything. It was so strange. It was such a strange feeling. And, I had told my coworker, I was like, I'm willing to sit, because we were originally thinking maybe we'd be able to open this Friday. That date's going to come and go as well. Still don't know when we're opening. But I was like, I can stay so you don't have to come out. And he's like, no, you've been on the road, 2 weeks. It's fine. I'll go out. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I still felt a little bad. I'm like, I'm already here. Let me just see this thing through. But I'll tell you, when I left the restaurant to drive home, 6-hour drive, I couldn't stop smiling. I was like, oh my God, I'm going home. I didn't realize how much I wanted to be home until I was on my way. So, great time, a lot of fun. There are some really great interviews coming, everybody. And even though I feel like there weren't a lot of big announcements, I will cover all the announcements from San Diego Comic-Con on the upcoming Comic Source Weekly show. I did miss last week. I was hoping maybe I'd get a chance to do one from the show. There was just no way. I was like, maybe I can just record one and won't have graphics. But again, there was just no way. I was just too busy. So I'll wrap it all up. What's interesting is there was very little news leading up to it, which I expected because they want to announce everything at Comic-Con. There's been like no news this week either. So I'll be able to do all the news in one episode. It'll be a little bit longer than usual. The Comic Source Weekly that's coming this Saturday. It'll be a little longer than usual, but not tremendously so. But I obviously I won't be able to do final order cutoff for books that were final order cutoff for the 27th because that day's already passed. But I will do final order cutoff for books. I think it's the second. 1st or 2nd of August, this coming Monday. I will talk about, and I will also cover both the Prana bestseller list from the week that I missed as well as this week as well. Okay, all that being said, you're like, God, enough about the show. Just talk about the books. Okay, we'll get there, everybody. Like I said, only 5 books this week, and we're going to kick it off with the DC Hawkgirl Summer. Now, bear with me, everybody, because DC did not give us a credits page. So I've got to like scroll through here to get the credits. It starts off with a Hawkgirl Catwoman story that's written by Megan Fitzmartin with art by Megan Hetrick, colors by Nick Filardi, and then Travis Lanham on the letters. And then we've got a Shining Knight story, which I didn't know that Shining Knight was non-binary, but apparently that's the case. But anyway, I really enjoyed that story. Quick and Shining. Trick Weeks is the writer. Nicholas Megia on art, Francesco Segala on colors, and Pat Broso on letters. Then there's, I guess we'll call it a bunker story, even though Jackson Hyde is in it, and Natasha Irons, and Tim Drake as well. But it does say bunker in All the Good Ones Are Taken. That's by a friend of the show, Josh Trujillo. Andrew Drillian on art. Big Doors Studio, is credited as a colorist, and then letters by Lucas Catoni. That one was fun as well. I'm great to see Psycho Pirate and not a real serious story, because usually stories are so morose. Then we've got Grace Choi and Thunder in Hotter Than Hell. And again, just bear with me. They didn't put the Daisy Lim handles the script. Rowan McCall on art. Travis Lanham doing the lettering, and then Sabrina Futch, editor. Sorry about that. Probably my favorite, Lawless on the Lido Deck, which is a Kid Eternity, the female Kid Eternity story, which I didn't know Ghost could get seasick and vomit, but apparently that's the case. Written by Andre R. Fratino with art by Rafael Perez, colors by Luis Guerrero, and letters by Steve Wands. Again, that was a lot of fun. Black Manta the villain in that one. And then next up we had Jason Todd and the Robins. So it's Dick Grayson, Damian, Tim Drake, and Jason Todd. Script and art by Siobhan Shiffin and Kathy Lee. Lettering by, I'm going to butcher this, Kylamel Sabal, I think. Those sound like all Irish names. Maybe that's an Irish creative team. Really love the art in that one. It's very, very manga influenced, but probably my favorite art of the book, of the special. And then there's a Apocalypse, Greetings from Shell Beach, written and drawn by Ramon Perez, letters by Darren Bennett. That one's starring Barda and Scott Free, Mr. Miracle, as well as their son Jacob, and the Mad, what do they call Mad Furies? Fatal Furies?
Yeah.
Female Furies.
Female Furies, yeah, right.
Yeah. I was looking at Mad Harriet when I said that. And Gigant is in that one as well. That one's fun. And then there's a Superboy, Connell story as well that had some pretty strong art. That one is from Kevin Scott writing, Raphael Loro on art, and Alex Gormas on colors, Josh Reed on letters. So I don't really have much more to say than that. They're varying degrees of quality, like is usually the case in these anthologies. Nothing terrible, nothing super memorable. There are some, like I said, that had better art than others. Some, it's the colors that shine. But in terms of just a story, yeah, my favorite one was far and away the Kid Eternity one. So anyway, anything to add, Rocky?
I like the Hawkgirl and Catwoman one. I like that. The last time we had a sort of a memorable Hawkgirl story was, I think it was Jackson. Well, memorable to me anyway. That was where she was at least 6 issues long. Was Jackson Axelrod? I think she did one with Hawkgirl, and Kendra Saunders is a great character, and I like when she's developed. And there was really an exploration of Jackson. Really pushed the boundaries in terms of making, frankly, Kendra sort of an angry feminist, and clearly suggested that she was maybe bisexual, and so they're sort of building on that here. And her being with Catwoman, I guess it's a good pairing. And I just want to point out that this is really an LGBTQ special, and I actually like the fact that they never put a pride thing on the cover. There's no pride indication on the cover, which surprises me. But that's a pleasant surprise because I don't think they need to. I've always said these characters are good characters. These stories are entertaining. If you love these characters, you'll enjoy these stories. It's as simple as that. They're good stories, and these characters can. To me, they, like all characters, you rise or fall according to the merits of the storytelling. And the storytelling here is good, and the art was good generally overall. I thought this was entertaining. I wish the Hawkgirl. I wish Megan Fitzpatrick would have more room to tell more of the full story. I thought it ended too abruptly with Catwoman and Hawkgirl, but I liked it. I want to see more Kendra Saunders. She's one of my favorite characters, and I'm really looking forward to her. I was aware of Shining Knight's sexuality. Even Grant Morrison actually sort of introduced that, but was very, very subtle with it back in the Seven Soldiers of Victory days. And it's a little bit more explicit here. I would like to see the Shining Knight show up in the pages of The Demon, which is I know was announced at San Diego. I've got no reason to believe he will, but I like Shining Knight. I've always liked. It's one of those obscure, almost C or D-list characters that I always enjoy when they pop up every now and then. Seeing the Flash from Earth 14, that's kind of cool too. The rest is, I like the Kid Eternity story. Of all the characters introduced at JSA, I know the least about Kid Eternity. I actually enjoyed that story as well. And as for the rest of them, I thought were sort of mediocre. And I just got to say, if it's, to me, the blandness and the whiteness of the Batman family when you have Jason Todd and Damian and they all look like quadruplets. I mean, they look like twins. It's really, really pathetic. I mean that kind of in an insulting way, DC. You really dropped the ball on that. I mean, at least throw Duke in there so you give the color something different to do. Or give one of them a suntan or something. But in any event, it was entertaining, and I agree with your comments about Psycho Pirate. It's nice to see him with a little bit more levity. So, but
Yeah,
overall,
you
entertaining.
you got me rethinking whether I should be picking this up because I mean I agree with you. A lot of the stories, like if I have a nitpick, a lot of the stories felt like they just needed a little bit more room. You know, another page or two. Like you mentioned, the abruptness of the ending. It's like
Mhm.
Hawkgirl and Catwoman toward the end of that first story. They just decide, okay, we will work together
Yeah,
and go up against and then it's like one panel of
one
them punching
punch,
out the
and
bad guy.
yeah,
Yeah, and then it's
yeah.
over, right? So yeah, you know, Bunker I'd like to see more of, and you know, it's like I want to see more of these characters. Maybe I should put my money where my mouth is and pick this up. I didn't. I was because I was so busy. My plan was to go to a local comic shop the two Wednesdays because there's a lot of great comic shops in San Diego. I had a little bit of time on Sunday afternoon and I hit a couple of them up. One of them, oh my God, Rocky! I've never been in a comic shop that was so packed with stuff. Like you couldn't get to any of the back issues because there was literally 2 to 3 foot high stacks of new books that were there. The guy knew where everything was if you asked him, but you couldn't browse on your own. You had to ask where everything was.
Wow.
It was insane. I've never seen that many comic books packed in such a short. Like you know the size of my studio? It was half the size of my studio, and it was packed to the rafters with books. So anyway, I didn't get a chance to go either Wednesday. So I ended up, which I have a great local shop here in Phoenix, which was wonderful because I just called them and said, "Hey, I know I didn't put this. I didn't pre-order this. Can you put this in my box? Can you put this in my box?" So I didn't get a chance to do that, to go to a shop to pick them up, but I still got all the books. But I didn't ask them to save this for me. And when I go to pick up my books tomorrow, I may just grab one off the shelf because, like I said, if I want to see more Bunker, if I want to see more Shining Knight, you know, if I want to see more Kendra Saunders, I should be picking this up. But yeah, if anything, my frustration is what you said, Rocky, about just a lot of these stories. They just needed a few more pages to breathe. Not all of them, you know. The Grace Choi Thunder one, it was a complete
Yeah,
story.
that was complete.
Yeah, but it wasn't necessarily memorable like I said. But it's funny that you mentioned the Robins because there was a point in the story where I thought the exact same damn thing. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about that story where I'm like they're all the same skin tone, they're all the same eye color, they're all the same hair color. It's like
Jesus.
they really are just interchangeable in a way, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I don't mean the writers and creators over the years have worked hard to differentiate them in terms of personality and whatever, but
Not
there
hard
is a
enough.
sameness. There is a sameness to them, and it's funny that you mentioned it because I literally thought that when I read this, and I flipped through it again today, so because it had been a few days since I read it. I flipped through it again today, and it struck me again. I was like, "Oh, yeah, they really are. There is a sameness to them for sure." There is just two covers. They're the main cover that Rocky's displaying behind him and myself, but then this one it's really fun. I've always heard about that, tossing somebody on a beach blanket. I've never seen it actually happen, but obviously that's Barbara Gordon there being tossed on a beach blanket, and that's a fun image as well. So, okay, let's move on. Up next, and we should also say with only 5 books, everything is in our top 5, obviously. But this, I mean, I got to be honest. I don't think this makes my top 5 in any other week. But again, there is value. There was enjoyment in it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, this was a heck of a lot of fun. Detective Comics 2026 Annual #1 for the main man who has everything. Tom Taylor's the writer. Gorgeous Nicola Scott art with her longtime collaborator on colors, Annette Kwok. Wes Abbott handles the letters. Man, oh man, was this fun. There's a backup story as well, which was a Professor Pig story, which was disturbing in all the ways that Professor Pig should be disturbing. And what I give credit. I guess let me talk about the backup first. It's by Dave Weggles, who is doing a project with Ignition Press, and he was there, but I didn't get really at the pavilion, but I didn't really get a chance to talk to him. But he started as an editor. He's moved over to kind of the freelance side. Fran Mariscal is the artist. Becca Carey on letters, and obviously Fran is handling the colors as well. But for a long time, and maybe my bias against Grant Morrison, I don't like Professor Pig, and created by Grant Morrison. He's annoying, and I like the way he talks. He's like depraved and whatever. Something about him makes my skin crawl, and I don't like reading stories. Reading stories with him as the villain, it makes me uncomfortable. There's something that Dave did in this story that really, and maybe it's my stupidity or this is on me, I think that's how you're supposed to feel when you read a Professor Pig story. he is uncomfortable. He is depraved. He is not, a good being. You know what I mean? He's not a good person. He's not whatever label you want to put on him. He makes you uncomfortable. He does despicable, disgusting, grotesque things. I think he's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. So credit to Dave Welgels for giving me that light bulb moment of, I'm going to continue not to like Professor Pig and read stories that star him reluctantly, but I mean, it's art, right? It's supposed to evoke emotion, and the feeling, the emotion I get when I read a Professor Pig story is revulsion. It repels me. I don't want to read it. So yeah, and I thought the art was done well also, but the main story is really where this shines. I won't get too into details because Rocky's a much bigger Lobo fan than me, and I'll let him if he wants to talk a little bit more about the plot points. But what I will say is, I don't want to say bait and switch because it's not that, but it was sold with the solicits as, I thought it was going to be more, okay, Batman is accused of something. He's got a bounty on his head. We know that from the solicits, and it's going to be more Lobo chasing him to try to catch him. But that's not what happens at all. Batman pretty much allows Lobo to catch him, sort of. He tricks Lobo to have a conversation. Hey, why are you coming after me? And then it all kind of unravels, and it ends up more of a team up where they go to this alien world, and somebody on the alien world has the Black Rose, the Kryptonian flower.
The Black Mercy, you mean?
Black Mercy, right? Sorry, Black Mercy. That Alan Moore first introduced in Superman Annual 11 way back in like 1984, where it's a parasite. It attaches to you. It feeds on your psychic energy. And in exchange, it gives you your wildest dreams come true. But you're in a catatonic state, and you will eventually die because you're not going to eat. And so we see Batman, what would Bruce Wayne's, fondest dreams be? And we see Lobo as well, what his fondest dreams would be, which is not what Batman would expect it to be. So this was just, like, in a word, this was just fun. With what Scotty Young is doing with Lobo, and I got a chance to see Scotty and talk to him at the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. I mean, I saw him several times a weekend, but that was the first time I ran into him. And I straight up I went right, first we said hi, hey, good to see you, hasn't been a while, whatever. And then I like immediately had to talk Lobo. I'm like, listen, Scotty, I am not a Lobo guy at all. And you have made me enjoy Lobo. I've been, ranking Lobo high on my list. Like, this is just my, the best run of Lobo and he was so, flattered to hear that and very grateful to hear that as well. So, between that and what Tom Taylor's doing with Lobo here, like, I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm a Lobo fan yet, but people are, between that and the Jason Momoa portrayal in the Supergirl movie, Lobo's way higher on my list of likability than he's ever been in the history of the character since I've read him. So, and this is right there. But again, I will stress, in addition to being a well-written and well-paced story from Tom Taylor, where there's little humorous lines thrown in here or there, both from Batman and Lobo at various moments. It's the Nicola Scott art. Nicola being Australian, Tom being Australian, they're good friends, and they're clearly having fun putting this together, doing this annual together, and it comes through in the story and in the art. And I love this. I thought it was fantastic. So, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, you know what? Jorge Corona, his art in the Lobo series is fantastic. He was certainly, you could say, was almost born to draw the character. But I got to say, Nicola Scott, there's a degree of realism with Nicola Scott's art that the way she draws it, to see Lobo drawn by her, he looks quite extraordinary too. It looks really great. It really enhanced the story for me. The story itself is, I want to give a little bit of a, I mean this in a humorous sort of joking way, with a little degree of seriousness, that I'm going to take a pot shot at Tom Taylor here. Black Mercy's put on Batman, and half the story is showing us what Batman's fantasy is when Black Mercy is on him. We already know what Batman's dreams are. Why didn't we get a Lobo story instead of a Batman story? That's my little nitpick. So we know when Lobo intentionally at the end wants Black Mercy put on him because he wants to experience his dream life of swimming with space dolphins.
Being a space dolphin. Exactly
that's ridiculous. I would never ever dream that that
That's the
Lobo would
point.
want to be a space dolphin. I mean,
That's the point.
I know, but of all the things that Lobo, I mean, Lobo is wiped out. He's killed his whole planet. It was just, I thought it was a lack of imagination. I really thought, because this was a missed opportunity to, particularly given the popularity of Lobo at the moment, he turned this into I thought was to be sort of like another derivative Batman story, when it could have been something, it could have been an interesting Lobo story with Batman more on the sidelines.
It is a Detective Comics annual. It's not a Lobo annual, to be
Well,
fair.
well, no, I guess, but I'm just saying, like Batman, it could have had some misdirection. Have Batman be in Lobo's crazy, like I don't know. I just thought it was a missed opportunity, but you're right, it is detective. But anyways, you're right. It's 100%. It's entertaining. It was probably, there's only 5 comics this week. This was in my top 3. Dare I say top 2? Because I really did have a lot of fun with it. And as for the Professor Pig story, I like the Professor, or the part of Mr. Pig story, whatever the hell it is.
Mr. Sty, he was calling himself.
Mr. Sty, yeah. I don't like the character either, but I love to hate the character. And I thought it was well done. I thought the art really set the ambiance and the mood and the tone, and it worked. It was it's funny. It was very jarring from the Batman Lobo story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, but that's good, because you get a little bit. The good thing about this Detective Comics annual is that you're going to get your bang for your buck, because these annuals usually, what is it, a $5.99 price tag?
Yeah,
I think so. You're getting a little bit more bang for your buck, maybe, and you're getting 2 good quality stories. One's more comedic and entertaining, and the other one is a little bit more darker and visceral, but both, by great creative teams, and well done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, once Lobo said he wanted the Black Mercy put on him, and Batman, Taylor kind of telegraphs it, where he says, I'm sure whatever depraved, violent thing. And when he says that, it immediately clicked in my brain. It's not going to be what you think it would be. It's not going to be Lobo going around beating the crap out of everybody. Yeah. And my initial thought was, maybe Lobo has a kernel of regret about killing all the other Zarnians, and it's going to be like an idyllic life on Zarnia. And then you turn the page, and it's him being a space dolphin. We all know how much he loves those space dolphins. There's even a moment early on in the story. So to see like him as a space dolphin, and with still has the goatee and everything, sideburns, I thought it worked. But I don't disagree with you that the idea of putting Black Mercy on Lobo and telling a crazy story, that idea does have a lot of potential. So I take your point. And if this were a Lobo annual, I would tend to say, that should have been the direction it went. But because it's a Batman issue, so maybe Lobo next year will get an annual where they can explore that. So anyway, probably the most important book in terms of tying into continuity this week is up next. It's Superman Annual Year 1000, number 1. It's written by Joshua Williamson, the regular writer of Superman. Eddie Barrows handles the art. Adriana Lucas on colors. Ariana Mayer on letters. This is giving us basically the story of what Superman has been up to ever since he won the Omega tournament and then disappeared. And I love the visual. Eddie Barrows, I'm a big fan of Eddie Barrows anyway, but I love the visual of what Superman looks like when he has not only the power, the King Omega powers, but the powers of the Time Trapper as well. We saw that in the DC KO event, how Time Trapper sacrificed himself, and Doomsday as well to bring Superman back. So this is great. What I didn't realize is how closely this ties into the return of Legion of Superheroes until I got to sit down with Joshua Williamson and Hayden Sherman at San Diego Comicon. So when you factor in their love of the Legion and some of the things they told me and the events that happen here, which tie in, it is interesting that we had the issue of Action Comics where the young Superboy actually rescues his older self. We already saw that scene. We see it again here from a little bit of a different perspective. So that was interesting that these didn't come out in the same week, because it's telegraphed, because we already read that when Superman is sort of at the end of time and he's being sucked into nothingness. we know he's not going to be sucked into nothingness. We know that it's going to be Superboy that flies in and helps save him. But even with that knowledge, it still didn't make the the moment any less impactful. So I thought it was done really, really well. And then there is a backup story also written by Joshua Williamson with art by Yasmin Putri, letters by Ariana Mayer, that just talks a little bit more or heralds a little bit more of what's going on with Darkseid. Apparently, Brainiac 1 million and he are not exactly on the same page. Talks about the inspiration for some of these legions being perhaps Cyborg Superman. So one of the things that Josh and Hayden talked about with me was that it's not just one version of the Legion of Superheroes that was returned. They're all of the versions. Long live all the legions, as Superman says in this issue. They're all back on the table. And it definitely feels like, from talking to those creators, that what they're doing is definitely unique, but you're going to see a lot of familiar things. And the hardest thing, according to Josh, is not wanting to go too fast, right? And it's similar to when he got on G.I. Joe. Everybody has a favorite G.I. Joe character, and when's so-and-so? When's Shipwreck coming? When's Roadblock coming? Same thing here. When are we going to see Wildfire? When are we going to see Starboy? When are we going to see, pencil in whatever name? And
Ultra Boy.
Is Ultra Boy Ultra Boy's great?
And Karate Kid. And Karate Kid.
Yeah. My favorite's always Wildfire, but yeah, I like Karate Kid. I like Starboy.
Dawnstar. I love her.
Dawnstar's great. Element Lad's another favorite. I know a lot of people, it's Matter Eater Lad.
Yeah.
But anyway, there are a lot of favorites, and you're going to get there, but wants to build slowly. But the foundation of what this is so interesting. And I didn't think about this until later, because obviously Josh has been writing Superboy Prime and doing a fantastic job. And we touched on that first before we pivoted over to Legion. But he talked about the fact that, similar to Superboy Prime being a fan of comics, Lightning Lad's a fan of comics as well, because it's so far in the future. So a lot of the comics that he collects and reads are telling stories of present day Batman and present day Superman and what have you. So I like that parallel, but I didn't think about it at the time, but I wish I would have to ask him, was it, you having so much fun doing that with Superboy Prime that you wanted to do it with Garth as well. So anyway, we'll see how that plays out, but I really enjoyed this. I loved how it tied everything up, and kudos to DC and Joshua Williamson and editorial and everybody Superman's been missing for months. It's been like 6 months that he's missing. It could have been a tendency to do a mini series and have it over several issues and kind of drag it out. And then in the meantime, everything else is moving forward, but we're telling the story that fits in at a certain moment in time. And then you have to worry about spoilers and that sort of stuff. I love that they're able to do it all in just this one issue, and it makes perfect sense, and it brings it all full circle without needing. This is a long book. You get as Rocky was saying, in these annuals, you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's 37 pages, so I thought it was great. I thought the art was great. Really enjoyed it. Glad to have Superman back. Obviously, we have the Kingdom of Zod event that's about to kick off, and then after that, soon we should be getting. I imagine it's probably going to be at New York Comicon that DC is going to announce whatever that Darkseid event is. We're about to see Darkseid take on the DC Heroes of the DC universe again in some way, shape, or form. Probably at the beginning of next year is going to be my guess. I say the beginning of next year. Probably going to start in like March or April. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it's good to have Superman back, and this was a fun issue. What are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
It's funny. I kind of had initially when I read it, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. My concern was, and I've since changed my mind and I've come over to the light, so to speak. I was initially concerned that this was a little bit convoluted and kind of a convoluted and very, very messy origin leading into the Legion of Superheroes, and you want to attract the new audience. And this is a messy origin for this Legion of Superheroes, and then I'm questioning. And again, I no longer feel this way, but then I was questioning, look, so the heroes, the Legion of Superheroes we're going to be focusing on are really, they're the a-holes and the villains that were the exterminators and the genocidal maniacs that were on the side of Darkseid. Yeah, they were mind controlled, but I don't care. And then suddenly they're going to be redeemed. And you mentioned Lightning Lad with the comic book, and I thought, oh, now we got a bunch of Superboy Primes in need of redemption. They're called the Legion of Superheroes. Yay! Will that work? I mean, it worked for Superboy Prime. You know, Joshua Williamson did a great job with that. Is he going to have to pull that off for their entire team?
Yeah, that's not the Legion that we're getting.
No, I realize that, but then that's another criticism. So we're going to be getting a whole bunch of legions. I don't see see. As much as I'm intrigued by it, the potential here for abject disaster is so prevalent for me, and that's my concern, because we've got so many different iterations and failed attempts at the Legion of Superheroes in the past between Bendis and Mark Waid and everything else, and now, well, they're all back. We're going to bring them all back. Why? Because you can't make up your mind as to which ones are the best, or like what? I don't know what the plan is now. The bottom line is that I'm excited for the Legion of Superheroes. I can't wait to see what Hayden Sherman does. We've seen teases of his amazing art. In Joshua Williamson, I trust. Between his Robin series and Superboy Prime, I'm putting my faith in Joshua Williamson, and he's done an amazing job with G.I. Joe. And I mean, hey, the guy's earned my respect and trust, and he's earned it here. And I really love this iteration. I like the idea. The more I think about it, I kind of love the idea of a Legion, this Legion that Superman went out of his way to save. Superman lost his Omega power in large part because he sacrificed his power in large part to save the very Legion, which was the worst iteration of the Legion that destroyed and killed all the other Legions. So not only did he resurrect all of them, but he also saved the iteration of the Legion that did all the killing in the first place, that were Darkseid's minions. So that's how heroic Superman is. And it reinforces the idea that Superman was always the inspiration for the Legion. And now not only was he the inspiration for the Legion, he literally has saved them all, which is a hell of a lot better than Bendis' idea of, oh, no, it's his son that was the inspiration. No, nonsense. So this is sort of returning Superman to being the core inspiration of the Legion. And that's what I love. And he's the inspiration of all of them. And he saved them all and resurrected them all. And so that's why the more I thought about it, I like this. I'm starting to see what Joshua Williamson's doing here. And I don't know how he's going to access all the Legions, but are we going to get stories? Are all the Legions from different iterations? How are they going to interact? Are we dealing with this on a multiversal level? Is this more than just the 31st century, but it's a multiversal aspect as well? Because we got Darkseid as the villain. We got Brainiac 1000. We even got Pandora showing up as that. And remember, Pandora was that mysterious character that showed up that sort of helped reunite that was the new Forever Evil and New 52 and blah blah blah. I think she was killed. We thought she was killed at one point, but clearly she's been resurrected. But in any event, all these mysteries and just, for longtime readers like myself, I'm excited. I do fear, though, I hope Joshua Williamson's up to the challenges, I'm sure he is, to make this accessible, because DC 1 million, Brainiac 1 million, Darkseid again, Pandora, all the iterations of the Legion, those are a lot of players, and I just hope he weaves a story that's accessible to new readers.
I did not get the sense whatsoever that any Legion is going to show up in their Legion run other than the Legion that they're creating. So I'm not concerned at all about any convoluted whatever.
So it's a brand new one then?
It's a brand new Legion. This is a brand new Legion, different versions of these characters that we've never seen before.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
So this Legion coming back, like Superman bringing back all the Legions, is as he said in this issue, it's righting a wrong. And in a way, it helps with the idea of the Darkseid Legion having some redemption, right? Similar, like you mentioned, to Superboy Prime. Yes, they were under the mind control. They were under the control of Darkseid. They did terrible things. They went and killed all the other Legions. They regret it. They have, repented. They wish that they hadn't done it. They're not making excuses. They even say, if we have to be killed, if that's what, we deserve it, whatever, right? They're not saying we deserve to live because we have regret and they're not blaming it on the mind control of Darkseid. But to your point, the heroism of Superman's like, I'm going to save everybody. So it is a little bit easier to swallow and say, okay, they went and killed all the legions, but they're back now. That was fixed, so maybe you don't persecute them for that. But then they're recaptured by Brainiac anyway. They're recaptured to be part of Darkseid's army. So are they going to be able to resist his mind control this time? That remains to be seen. So in a way, you're right. I mean, there is a very convoluted story to tell here, but the convoluted story to tell is this huge comic book universe spanning story of Darkseid being the Omega, only being one Darkseid throughout all the DC multiverse, and the Omega energy and Alpha energy and all that. Like the story that Williamson and Snyder came up with that launched the All-In initiative and gave birth to the Absolute Universe. That's the big overall complicated story. In regards to what we're going to see in the Hayden Sherman and Joshua Williamson Legion series, it's just going to, not to say it won't ever bring in other versions of different Legion characters, but at least to start, it's going to focus on the version of the characters that they are creating that will be both familiar but also feel new. And we did talk a little bit about making it new reader friendly and having people able to jump on and whatever. So stuff that happens in here in terms of the Legion, like I wouldn't tell anybody, okay, if you want to read the new Legion of Superheroes series from Hayden and Josh, then you need to go and read the Superman annual year 1000. You don't need to read this. You're going to be able to pick up that first issue and just dive right in. That is definitely the impression that I got from it. And the first question I asked Hayden is if he was going to be leaving Absolute Wonder Woman to draw Legion, and he said nope, he is not.
Good, right on.
Yeah. I was worried, but no, he's going to be. He's pretty quick. He's pretty fast, and we already see he has fill-in artists here and there, and I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of artists that want to fill in on an issue or two of Legion either, because they are very beloved characters. So I take your point, because it can get convoluted and what have you, but I personally am not worried about that, because I didn't get the sense that any of this is going to be pulled in. This is going to be part of the Darkseid story, not part of the Legion story that's coming from.
Yeah, because I admit I did not know reading this story. I wasn't. I was confused as to what iteration of Legion we're getting, but I guess it makes more sense that it's a brand new one. I guess, especially from the teaser. From the teaser images that Hayden Sherman has at the end of this issue. So that's actually good to hear. I feel better hearing that from you. So I'm looking forward to hearing that interview.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about Lightning Lad being a comic book fan. I mean, that's never been a thing in any Legion I know of. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right. As far as covers go, you have an Ariel Olivetti one up behind you. You got the main cover behind me. The one in the middle there is by Mario Fascilo. There's also a painted one by Alex Ekman-Lawn and a Mark Spears. That's the one by Alex Ekman-Lawn. And then there's a Mark Spears variant as well. Oh my God, the number of Mark Spears covers I saw at San Diego Comicon. Holy crap. It was crazy. Well, one of the biggest lines that anybody had all weekend was Brett Bean, which was really cool to see. Yep, there's the Mark Spears one. I'm just not a fan of his style of art. I think it can work in small doses, but I think it works on Spawn 77. I think that's a good pick, but I don't know. Him on superhero stuff doesn't really excite me. His stuff's better on like horror characters or crime noir. So anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have the Justice League Night Vision Special. Issue number 1 from Mark Waid and Joshua Williamson, Miguel Mendoca on art, Romulo Fajardo Jr. on colors, Steve Wands on letters. First of all, the art here is fantastic. Miguel is a very underrated artist. It's fun seeing Lex and Bruce play off of each other. It's not completely original. We've seen this before. Lex mentions it. I think we have a lot in common. I mean, they're both rich. They're both really smart, whatever. Seeing Prometheus show back up. Again, it's another Grant Morrison character that in a way is sort of convoluted. In a way, he's sort of a walking ex deus machina. What are his powers? Well, whatever they need to be to suit the story. But this does also tie into Darkseid and Apocalyptic technology. We also have a reprint of the little short story with Um, with Static being recruited to the Titans, it's the same one that we saw last week. So I thought this was okay. This was fun. For me, the best thing about it is seeing the Miguel Mondoka art, and the second best thing is just that it's laying more groundwork for whatever Darkseid event is coming. On the downside, I think Prometheus is not a good character. I think I just don't like him at all. I don't care for his look. I don't care for him as a character. I don't think it's a good character. I think he's poorly conceived. I think he's poorly designed. There's nothing about him to me that feels overly threatening, because again, he's usually written where he's so powerful there's no way he should possibly lose, but then the writer's going to find a way to make him lose, right? Like, so
Yeah.
in that way, he ends up being more weak than somebody who's feeling more weak than somebody whose power level, power set is supposed to be less than his, but yet he always ends up being defeated in some dumb way. So anyway, just how I feel about the character. Not a big deal, but I did enjoy this, mostly for the dynamic between Lex and Bruce and that Miguel Mondoka art. So what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, we're still. I'm still. I think this jury's still out. Exactly what vision did Batman get? What vision did Lex get? I don't think that's still fully revealed. They sort of suggested to each other that neither one of them got a vision, but they did. But then they did. And then Prometheus.
Well, yeah, when they touched each other in the last issue of Justice League, they both all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. So, but it's another one of those things. Well, exactly what's going on. We know that obviously, whatever the visions that all the various heroes have, it's teasing something in the future. Is it an absolute crisis or something? Who knows? Darkseid, clearly, this issue is Prometheus is using apocalyptic tech, suggesting that somebody is getting weapons from Darkseid. So Darkseid, of course, has his own universe now, the absolute universe. He presumably in some capacity is trying to infiltrate the mainstream DC universe, and he's doing that with this tech, and he's doing this probably through other means. We can look forward to a battle at some point between, because we had the DCKO tournament, and Darkseid was, I guess, temporarily put off, temporarily abated or defeated by Superman. So, where this is, this is going to be, you can see the seeds are slowly being planted in these stories for like a larger event, maybe a secret crisis or absolute crisis farther down the line. This was great for the dynamic between Lex and Batman. I am definitely a fan of the Lex Luthor who is more the anti-hero. I find him more interesting. Maybe it's just a phase that I'm going through. I've certainly enjoyed phases where it's been evil Lex. I actually think an anti-hero Lex is more in keeping with the evolution of his character in the mainstream DC universe. And I think it's perfect for his brand of narcissism. I think he's more prone to be, at heart, a hero who's maybe a little bit of an a-hole, but he'll do the right thing, but he's the guy that will do it. He'll be pretty brutal about doing it and accomplishing his deeds. And I really like that dynamic. And Batman is the perfect juxtaposition for Lex, because Lex is all about doing it. Lex will take the easy way out if it means having to kill somebody. Batman, of course, won't. But then at the same time, Lex is sometimes more pragmatic or practical than even Batman is. And so I love that dichotomy and what different writers bring to this dynamic between these characters. And this story is just another example of that.
Yeah, I don't like him as an anti-hero, not even a little bit. Because I don't even see him as Lex will, like you talked about, he'll do the right thing, but he'll be brutal about it. The only reason Lex ever does the right thing is selfishly for the adulation. What reward can I get? What does it do? Like, Lex is the epitome of what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, no two ways about it for me. And again, it's been done before, right? Like we saw it done in Rebirth.
Yeah, it has been done before.
Yeah.
My favorite Lex is in Forever Evil. I love his portrayal there. that storyline. But
Well, and
anyways,
David Finch drew that, and it's gorgeous,
yeah,
gorgeous art. So, all right. I didn't think there were any covers that I wanted to show. Well, I mean, actually, here's a case where the Mark Spears variant might actually be my favorite.
yeah, it's actually pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, but only because the others don't really. They're like whatever. The one behind me is Javier Fernandez. The one behind Rocky is Carmine Di Gian Domenico on the main one, and there is a Juan Ferrer one as well. That's not bad. It's that they look like they're standing in a swamp. Yeah, that one's pretty cool as well. So, all right, last book this week. We got Batman Superman World's Finest 2026 Annual Number 1. We have two stories here. The Hero Trap, Mark Russell is the writer, and Clayton Henry is the artist. Pedro Estauco on colors, Steve Wands on letters, and then Date Night, Mark Waid and Tyrone Finch are the writers. Pat Booton handles the art. Bruno Fajardo Jr. on colors and Steve Wands on letters. That Date Night one is pretty funny. It's Mixius Pillick and Batmite that are kind of arguing on who, like Batmite thinks that Lois Lane should be with Bruce Wayne. Obviously, Mixius Pillick thinks that Lois and Clark should be the couple. So there's a little bit of a friendly competition between Clark and Bruce there. So that one's fun. And really, there's a lot of fun in the first one as well. It's a Father's Day story with Pa Kent and Alfred teaming up. Gorgeous Clayton Henry art. And yeah, the two old guys team up to save their sons who managed to get themselves in a bit of a predicament. So for me, Clayton Henry's art does what art in a comic is supposed to do. It elevates the story. It's really, really great. There is a scene, like if you go, I think it's a couple pages back, Rocky, where so the whole idea is that the Flash has gone missing, and so Batman leaves this Father's Day dinner to go look for the Flash. And what's happened is the Flash has entered this little room that has like these. Yeah, that page right there. That page is incredible. So anyway, he's entered this room where if he leaves and he crosses the threshold, it's going to trigger a bomb that's going to go off in a city. So Batman walks into there not knowing that's the case, and now Batman becomes trapped as well because he can't get out. So then Batman now it's Batman and Flash missing. So then Superman goes, and Superman doesn't look before he leaps either, and he goes inside, and now he's trapped. So it ends up being the fathers, Pa Kent and Alfred, that figure out a way to save the day. But to my point about the Clayton Henry art, I mean, that says it all right there. The look on Flash's face, Superman with his, his hand on his forehead, like, no, don't come in. Now you're stuck in here with us too, because you can't, even at the speed of light, you're going to break the beam if you cross and try to leave, and then a bomb is going to go off in one of these cities. We don't know which one, and a bunch of people are going to die. So, fun story, fun premise from Mark Waid. Very much feels in keeping with what he's been doing in World's Finest. This is you can read this completely on its own. You don't have to read anything else. Doesn't tie in with continuity or anything like that, and it's just a fun story. So similar to the Date Night story. So good issue, and gorgeous Clayton Henry art.
Yeah,
anything?
I don't really have much to add. This issue is World's Finest is on my pull list. It's I buy the physical copies every month. Because it's again, it's Mark Waid telling these. This is a story that takes place in the past. Because that's what's great about the World's Finest stories is that we're getting sort of like the early years of Superman and Batman, and he's sort of rebuilding a foundation for present day stories. Justification for future day stories and further inspiration for future stories. And that's what I love about World's Finest, and it works so well. And in fact, Mark Waid's doing that again with Batman and the Batman and Robin series. He's returning with Chris Samney again to give us a sequel to the Batman and Robin Year One, I guess. And in any event, it's it's great. Yeah, and it's a high recommend. This was in my my top 3.
Yeah, there's some fantastic covers as well. The one behind me is by Raza. The one behind Rocky by Dan Mora, and then that one by Clayton Henry, which kind of homages the second story in the book, in the issue. So, in addition to these books, there's only one other single, which is a facsimile of Justice League 200. You can get it regular or foil, whatever might be your choice. And then in terms of collected editions, Rocky's got them up there on the screen. We've got a trade paperback of DC Finest, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Hero. So this is collecting that really famous, not inexpensive back issue run from Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams handling most of the art. We're talking about Green Lantern 62 through 82, as well as Flash 191 and World's Finest Comics 201. So, again, really, really classic stuff. It's hard to overstate how influential that run was at the time. Also, Wonder Woman by George Perez is getting its second omnibus hardcover. This is obviously collecting his run when he rebooted Wonder Woman starting in 1987.
Also very influential. Yeah.
Yep. Also very influential. Phil Jimenez, somebody who cites this run all the time. Collects Wonder Woman 25 through 45 and annual number 2. We've got a Green Lantern Kyle Rayner Volume 1 trade paperback. This is collecting that very famous run where Hal Jordan loses it, which happens in Green Lantern 48, 49, and 50. But this goes a little further, 48 through 57, as well as New Titans. There's a crossover, 116 and 117. Rebels number 1. So you've got 368 pages for $35. And then finally, Jeff Johns' Aquaman is getting a book 1 trade paperback, which collects Aquaman issues 0 through 13. This is classic stuff. Mostly pencils by Ivan Reis, but you've got Joe Prado handling some of them as well. Really, really great stuff. Not quite as fun as Jeremy Adams' Aquaman run currently, only because Aquaman's not as powerful as he is now, which that's another interview that's coming. Got a chance to talk to Jeremy about Kyle Rayner and Aquaman, so look for that coming up real soon. All right. I mean, kind of anticlimactic in terms of rankings because everything's in the top 5. Yeah. But I'll run through mine really quickly. At number 5, I've got DC Hawkgirl Summer 1. Number 4, Batman Superman World's Finest 2026 Annual number 1. Coming in at number 3, Justice League Night Vision Special number 1. At number 2, Detective Comics 2026 Annual number 1. And then my number 1 book of the week, Superman 2026 Annual Year 1000 number 1. For the art, for the love of the Legion, for the fact that this is a really important book in terms of setting up the relaunch of the Legion in a way, but more importantly than that, setting up what's to come with Darkseid in the future of the DC universe. So it was a no-brainer for me to pick that. In fact, I talk about it a lot where I say when I go to read the books for the week, I read them in the order, whatever order they're in our press portal is the order I read them. I specifically saved this for last. Even though it wasn't last on the press portal, I wanted to read everything else first and save this for last as dessert, as it were. So, what are your rankings, Rocky?
Yeah, my rankings. I put DC's Hawkgirl Summer Special in number 5. But I do want to say I really enjoyed it. It was great seeing Kendra Saunders again, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. I hope we see more of her. And I actually would love to see an ongoing team up. I would love to see a team up book with Hawkgirl and Selena and Kendra. That would be awesome. And that's me speaking like a Period fanboy. 2 bisexual, gorgeous women. Come on. Puts a smile on my face. Anyway, coming in at number 4, World's Finest. Number 3, Justice League, Night Vision. Number 2, Detective Comics, and number 1, because of my love for the Legion 2. My mixed feelings aside, I mean, the more I thought about it, the more I'm so looking forward to this Legion coming up. Joshua Williamson's on fire. So the Superman annual for sure is something that I had to put up there. Oops.
So first time it's ever I can confidently say. This first time it's ever happened, we have exactly the same. We have every book ranked exactly the same. I should say probably never happen again, but you never know. There could be a week with only 3 books or 2 books where it could happen. But yeah, I'm definitely pretty sure it's never, 99.9% sure it's never happened before. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. One other thing that I do want to mention, I did give away the Comic Source Weekly t-shirts at San Diego Comicon. People coming up telling me the secret phrase, which was Ignition Press, because they were doing such a fantastic job. when I ordered the little iron-ons, I have one left. I accidentally ordered 25 of these transfers, but I only ordered 24 shirts to put them on. Obviously, I still have mine. I would have given it away to somebody, honestly. Like, I had a couple people come up to me after I'd given them all away, except the one I was wearing. But, you know, I've been wearing it. It's got to grow. Like, I didn't even offer it. I was like, I don't want to give you my smelly shirt. But the reason I mention it, that I gave them all away, is because I had wanted to save one for Rocky and Steve. And actually, I shouldn't say that I gave them all away, because I gave one to Travis Mercer. Because, you know, I got a chance to hang out with him a little bit. And I did give one to him. And I wish I'd had one when Gavin Goudreau came up and introduced himself to me, because he listens to the show as well. Shout out to you, Gavin. If you're listening, Gavin, send me a message on social media with your address, and I'll ship you a shirt, because I'm gonna order more. Like I said, I gave them all away, so I'm gonna order some more, because I got to send one to Rocky and I got to send one to Steve. And I was like, well, as long as I'm gonna order more, I might as well, you know, do a few more. So if you want one, I think I'm not going to be trying to make a bunch of money off it or whatever. They're going to be about $10 plus whatever the shipping is. So let's just say, if you want one, email me your address, and I will find out how much the shipping will be. I won't charge extra. I'll charge you whatever's going to cost to ship is what you'll pay for shipping, and the shirt will be $10. I think that should cover it, because I think the transfers are about like $3 each, and I think the shirts are like $6 something. So I'm basically selling them to you at cost. I'm not making anything off of it, but yeah. So $10 for a shirt, Comic Source Weekly shirt. It'll be black, just like the one I was wearing last week on the Comic Source Weekly, and yeah, whatever the shipping is going to be for wherever you live. So if you want one, reach out, send me an email, let me know your address. I'll figure out the shipping, and you can like PayPal me or Venmo me or whatever. Because yeah, I've done this in the past. Like, I did DC All-In shirts. I didn't end up giving them all away, but yeah, these went relatively quickly, so kind of cool. So anyway, as I mentioned, that is it for this episode. Don't forget, everybody, if you're listening audio only, be sure you head over to YouTube and subscribe to Rocky's channel, where this comes out every week, normally on Tuesdays. Comic Space Boom! ! Once you're there, you know what to do. Leave some comments below. Let us know what you thought of this week's books. Ring that notification bell so you know when new content comes out. Like and subscribe. While you're there, you should head over to the Comic Source as well. Subscribe to a YouTube channel where Spawn Daily comes out, where a lot of these interviews are going to drop. All the interviews I did are all audio and video. They'll come out on both the podcast feed as well as on YouTube. And on that note, if you prefer to listen audio only as opposed to watching on YouTube, you can head over to your favorite podcasting app or platform, do search for the Comic Source and subscribe. All of our past episodes are available there, and we appreciate the support as always. It's good to be home. Look for that Comicon content coming soon, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.